Can you say hi? Show them your blue eyes. Yeah. We're hoping that you keep those. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, I recently gave birth. This is my daughter, Hunter Lane, and she was born on June 3rd. You gone? If you are new here, you probably didn't catch my birth vlog, which I will link for you, but that is the video that's right before this one, and it documents my entire labor process up to her birth. I had to readjust a little. I had a vaginal delivery in the hospital. It was a very fast-paced labor and delivery, a lot faster than anyone anticipated for me being a first-time mom. I did want to post this video sooner, my birth story and introducing Hunter to my channel. But after I gave birth, however, there were some mild complications that did occur prior to me delivering her, and I will touch on those in a little bit, but I also just needed to take time to get used to this new role of being a first-time mom, and really wanted to just take a break and focus on her and taking care of myself and recovering. So I hope that you guys like this video. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. I most recently have been making motherhood related videos documenting my entire journey, but I also make lifestyle videos, travel videos, vlogs, and other content that I'm passionate about. So yes, subscribe if you're new here, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this video. So quickly, meet my baby. Like I mentioned before, her name is Hunter Lane. I personally really love when girls have names that are more commonly known as boy names, and I've always loved Hunter for a girl. So when Sean and I started talking about our future and kids and things like that, I pitched him the name Hunter and he really liked it, so we decided to go with that. And then her middle name, we landed on Lane because we were just kind of playing around with names that would flow with her first name and Sean's last name. And Lane just happened to make everything flow really beautifully, and we liked it. I think also too, when you grow up in a very Italian family like I did, you really only hear the same few names being used for girls' middle names. So I wanted something that was different and unique to her. So that is how we landed on Hunter Lane to be her name. Little Miss here is a very sweet and happy baby. I would say overall she has a pretty chill and relaxed temperament, except for when she's hungry. Because she gets hangry, which honestly is understandable because she's a growing girl, but yeah, don't mess around when it comes to her food, because that's the only time she'll get a little cranky. When Hunter was born, she was 6 pounds 9 ounces. She was so tiny that the clothes that I had brought for her didn't fit her. In fact, she was so mini that we had to go out and buy preemie clothes for her because that's how tiny she was. Nothing was fitting her. Even the newborns were baggy on her. So Little Miss was 6'9" when she first came out. She is 6 weeks old now, and we did actually weigh her last night, and she's now 9 pounds and 10 ounces. She's a lot heavier now, and she's still fitting in newborns, not really fitting in too many 0 to 3 month clothes just yet. But anyway, this is Hunter. Oh, I'm trying to say hi. And I just wanted to take a moment and thank everyone who sent us well wishes. I truly appreciate you all, and I'm really excited and happy to be sharing this next chapter of life with you. So get used to seeing Hunter on the channel, and I'm just gonna hop right into my birth story now. At 39 weeks, 2 days prior to her birth, I had an appointment with my OB's office, and one of the OBs at the practice gave me a vaginal exam and determined that I was still 1 centimeter dilated. And up to this point, I was about 1 centimeter for, I think, a week. And she just determined I was still 1 centimeter, but I really remember how responsive she was to that 1 centimeter, she said that she was excited because my cervix felt great. And I just remember thinking, I never thought I would hear somebody say that my uterus felt great. And then the night before, I just remember feeling really uncomfortable. I don't really know how to explain it other than I just couldn't seem to find a comfortable position no matter which way I laid down, whether I was on the couch or in my bed. I just couldn't get comfortable. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't having contractions. I do remember telling Sean, like, I feel really heavy and I feel off, and I asked him if he could stay home from work the next day because I just had a feeling that something was gonna go down. I don't know what, but I just felt like something was gonna go down that day, and I definitely wanted to make sure that he was there just in case it was the real deal. Sure enough, the next day I wake up and at around 11 a.m. I start feeling cramping, very similar to menstrual cramps. And when you're a first-time mom and you're near the end, you think that everything is the real deal. You question it. You're like, am I in labor? What's going on? I, however, have been feeling cramps like that since, I want to say, my second trimester. I was experiencing the Braxton Hicks contractions, so I really didn't think that this was the real deal or that anything was different because they were still so spread apart and it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. What made me realize that this may be the real deal was that I was having bloody show on top of cramping. I started to notice that the cramp pain was getting a little bit closer together. They weren't as spread apart, they were more consistent. So I decided to start timing them on a contraction app. And from that point on, they were getting closer together. I wanted to put off going to the hospital as much as I could. I really wanted to labor at home for as long as I could because I didn't want to have to drive all the way to the hospital just for them to send us back. So I really wanted to focus on listening to my body and let my body determine when it was time to call my OB and when it was time to go to the hospital. Sean was freaking out because the app kept having this pop-up caption that would come up saying, it's time to go to the hospital, it's time to go to the hospital. But I just kept putting it off like, no, I'm fine. I really don't think that we need to do that just yet. I feel okay. I told him to order me chicken nuggets because the last thing I wanted was to go to the hospital and not be able to eat, because you just hear these stories of all these first-time moms who are in labor for 24 plus hours, not being able to eat, and that first-time mom labors go really slowly. So I did not want to be that person that wasn't going to be able to eat. So I told him to order me chicken nuggets. After I ate, I hopped in the shower. I really wanted to relax my muscles. And at this point, my contractions were getting closer together. So at this point, they were starting to bother me, not to where it was unbearable, but there was one that would happen every now and then that would stop me, make me pause, make me need to breathe through it. I had Sean kind of stand outside the shower for me because I was feeling them a lot when I was in the shower. But I still wasn't convinced that it was time to go. I still knew that I could hold off for a little bit more. Once I got out of the shower though, I checked to see if I was still bleeding, and I ended up losing my mucus plug. So that's when I decided to call my OB. At that point, my contractions were averaging at about 5 to 6 minutes apart, and it had been that way for about an hour, which is what they'd like you to do. They want you to do the 5-1-1, which is, your contractions are 5 minutes apart, they're 1 minute each, and that's the way it's been for about an hour. So I was at that point, plus I had lost my mucus plug, so I decided to finally give my OB a call. And she gave us the go-ahead. She told us to start heading to the hospital and that she was going to call and let them know that we were going to be on our way. At this point, it was 2:15 in the afternoon when we started heading to the hospital. And I had a few contractions on my way there, and this hospital's only 15 minutes from us, so it's not that far of a drive. But I had a few contractions on my way there. And then once I got to the hospital and they brought me into triage, for some strange reason, my contractions started to spread out more. They weren't as frequent as I was having them. And they just kind of seemed to be decreasing, not in the way that they felt, but they just weren't happening as consistently as they were. But my OB, she was on call that day. I was very happy about that. And she gave me a vaginal exam and triage and determined that I was 4 centimeters dilated and 85% effaced. Now, even though my contractions were spreading apart more at this time, they had me stay just because of where I was in dilation, but also because my blood pressure was a little bit high and they wanted to make sure that they could monitor that. So they had me stay. I just had to wait for a delivery room to become available. I waited in triage for about 2 to 3 hours, I want to say. Honestly, when you're there, everything's a blur. I always forgot to check the clock, but I think I was in triage for about 2 to 3 hours, and within those 2 to 3 hours, my contractions got unbearably close together, and I'm talking 3 to 2 minutes close together. They were just going boom, 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 like one after the other. And one thing about my contractions that my triage nurse mentioned was that I was experiencing them a lot longer. So I wouldn't have like a 1 minute contraction. I would have more like a 2 minute contraction. And it was pretty consistent that way, which wasn't fun for me. But another thing that I experienced was I was feeling majority of my pain in my legs. So every time I was having a contraction, I was getting this sharp, almost sciatic pain shooting down my legs, and it would linger. So even if I was coming down from a contraction, I would still be feeling that pain in my legs. Please comment down below if you have ever experienced that during labor, because I'm very curious as to see where people experience their contractions. I did feel them in my uterus, but I mainly felt it in my legs, and that was just so bizarre to me. So please drop a comment below and let me know where you guys experienced it. I know like uterus and back are the most common, but I do want to know if anybody else felt it in their legs or in some other place. Who knows? But for me, that's what I dealt with, and it was rough. So they finally moved me to a delivery room, and I actually walked. I don't know why, but I walked to the delivery room, and I had to stop twice because I was having contractions on my way there. I just remember gripping onto that bar that's in the hallways at hospitals. I remember gripping onto that so hard, and bless my triage nurse. She was so sweet and so encouraging to me, and I felt so lucky having her and Sean both at my side. But whew, that walk felt like it was an eternity to get to that delivery room. When we got to the delivery room, it was around 6 p.m. I wanted to try sitting on a birthing ball because for some reason I thought that that would help the pain and pressure I was feeling in my legs. It did not. I don't know why I thought it would, but it didn't. They had hooked me up to an IV bag, and in order to get the epidural, you needed to finish a bag and a half of the IV. So I needed to empty a bag and a half, and I was basically a sitting duck in a ton of pain, waiting for this drip to finish, and it felt like forever. I'm telling y'all, it was so long. It was probably only 20 minutes, but I felt like I was waiting forever for this bag to finish. So all I could do was breathe through the pain, and again, my contractions were getting so extremely close together. The anesthesiologist finally came in to insert the epidural. And here's the thing about epidurals. You have to hunch forward, like lean completely over, in a position that pretty much triggers a contraction. but you have to remain perfectly still. You cannot move at all. I feel like when you're getting the epidural inserted and you're not allowed to move, that's when you wanted to move the most. I don't know how these women do it without an epidural. Bless y'all. I can't do it. No. Listen, I have a really high pain tolerance. I was very calm even when I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't screaming, I wasn't losing my head. I was remaining so calm and just breathing through it and just, you know, I was determined to get through it. I was telling myself, you can do it. She's gonna be here on your chest when you're done. I think that contraction was the worst one. You are in an extreme amount of pain, but you can't move. So I really think that was the most challenging moment for me, and also one of the biggest tests of strength I think I have ever put my body through. So epidural goes in. They gave me the button to control the medicine drip. They put a catheter in, and my OB gave me another vaginal exam. And at this point, I was 7 centimeters dilated. She was shocked at how fast I had progressed to 7 centimeters. So she decided to break my water. So they broke my water, and that felt extremely weird. And then my delivery nurse gave me a peanut ball to put in between my legs. She also had me turn onto my side. And the peanut ball is used to kind of help moms dilate more and progress their labor. So she told me that she was going to check on me within 45 minutes, and she wasn't even gone 20 minutes when I felt like something was wrong. I just remember feeling pressure down there, but it felt like there was something wrong with the catheter, like it wasn't inserted properly. And I said, something's not right, the catheter was really bothering me, and she decided to give me a vaginal exam and check me out. And she was shocked. I mean, I was already at 10 centimeters. I jumped from 7 to 10 within 20 minutes, and not even 20 minutes, it was like 15 minutes. And she was like, all right, like, I'm gonna call your OB back in here and we're gonna see if we can start pushing. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I was under the impression that once you got the epidural, you were gonna basically be numb from the waist down. I didn't think I was gonna feel anything. Everyone told me that you feel pressure, so I was trying to mentally prepare for that, but honestly, and I don't want to alarm or scare anyone, but the pressure part hurt. And the best way to describe it without sounding too gross is it's like if you have to poop, but it's not coming out, and the pressure of it just chilling there is painful. Except this time it's like a bowling ball is trying to leave your body. I remember a conversation that I had with Sean the day prior to being in the hospital of moms that push for like 2 or more hours just to get any type of progress. And my delivery nurse made a comment that I think kind of did it for me. She said, it's all about what you put into it. And I think those words were enough encouragement for me to be as determined as I was to say, okay, I'm gonna give it all I have and I'm gonna get this girl out. So I pushed for only 30 minutes, and then this beautiful little gem literally flew out of me. If they were not there, she probably would have ended up on the floor. They joke about it the entire day. They were saying like, she just, and you'll even hear it in my video, my nurse is like, she just popped out. Like, she really just flew out of me. After about an hour after giving birth, they moved us to the recovery room. So once we were in the recovery room for about a day and a half, they are monitoring all of your levels. So they're checking your blood pressure, your glucose, all of that. And I unfortunately was showing signs of high blood pressure to where it was a bit concerning for them that I may have postpartum preeclampsia. And you have to worry about preeclampsia when you are pregnant, just because there is a huge risk factor that when you have preeclampsia that you could have seizures if your blood pressure gets too high. So rather than sending me home and risking that happening, they had me stay an extra day and they monitored me for another 24 hours. It was pretty brutal and heartbreaking because at that point we were both so ready and excited to take her home and have our family and friends meet her. Because of COVID, we weren't allowed any visitors. So we really wanted to bring her home and just, you know, yeah, we really wanted to bring her home. And are you trying to add something? Yeah, you were ready to go home too, right? Yeah. So, not only were they monitoring me for 24 hours, but I was on bed rest for 24 hours. So I wasn't allowed to leave my bed. They also had to give me magnesium drip. So what that entailed was me being on bed rest for 24 hours. They put these medicine massagers on my ankles because I wasn't going to be able to get up. So they had to keep my blood circulating through my legs and whatnot. And they also had me hooked up to a blood pressure bag, and it would go off on the hour, every hour, and I couldn't stand that. Oh my gosh, I can't stand blood pressure bags. I always feel like my arm is gonna explode when it's inside of one. So the fact that I was getting woken up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to feel that was not great. They told me that it was gonna make me be dizzy and my head was gonna feel heavy and I was gonna be very, very hot, and I was gonna need to get my rest. They said that I was gonna be exhausted and that I wasn't gonna really be in control of what was going on. So that was the day that we decided to put her into the nursery so we could get a little bit of sleep. Yeah. But again, oh, she's very vocal these days. Yeah. But anyway, if you guys have any questions about something that I didn't touch on, please let me know. I really want to make sure that I answer any questions that you may have. I think I covered about everything. You know, once we did get the clear to go home, I did have to monitor my blood pressure still when I got home, and she was what? Alright guys, well I hope that you liked this video. That is my birth story, and we'll of course have some more content featuring little miss right here. But anyway guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you subscribe if you're new. I post 1 to 2 new videos a week. That's what I'm trying to do, especially now that I'm back from break. We're going to be putting out a lot more content, right? Yeah. So make sure you have your post notification bell turned on so you don't miss any of those videos. And until next time, stay golden, people. Bye.